Server restart in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Server Restart In. This is a World of Warcraft podcast where three opinionated players get together to discuss their thoughts and opinions and ideas about the current state of the game and things revolving around it. My name is Jim. I'm joined by Kristen.
Hello.
And Brian.
Hi, Jim.
And hi, Brian. How are you doing? It's been a while.
It's been dandy.
Yeah. So I think we're going to start off by kind of talking about what is there to do right now in WoW.
Nothing at all.
So,
it's not just me?
No, it's so okay. Everybody, I personally have kind of gotten to this stagnant funk of, and yeah, make faces. That's okay. And it's like you log in, do your callings. I do them like every 3 days or whatever. Do your weekly stuff, but the campaign story is done. There's no new quest from Bolvar to go into Borghast, to find more of that stuff. It's like everything has stalled out, it seems.
And abruptly, too. Do you feel like it was abrupt?
It feels like, there's all this build, there's all this
like
build up.
Like the train just halted and we're like,
it's just like, yeah, but it wasn't even a jerking halt. It's just all of a sudden you come in and like everything's normal, but then there's nowhere to go.
From like a repetitive perspective, like coming in every week and like, ooh, here's the next piece. Ooh, here's the next piece. Ooh, here's the next piece. Ooh, what?
Where's the next piece?
Yeah.
There's no story. We've had all this story stuff going on. And
well, that's what I thought for sure. Like even the extra what are they called? Not minions, but followers, whatever, guys.
The companions?
Yeah.
Soulbinds?
Adventure
table companions, guys. Yeah.
Aren't there more that we still need to get from Borghast?
There could be. I don't know. I mean,
thought there was more.
I
thought there was actually a lot.
I have a lot.
I mean, I have a lot, but I thought there was much more than what
I have
right
a
now.
lot, but I don't think I have more than 15.
But there's no more. Like, we didn't get any last week or this week.
I mean, I don't know. Did they? I don't know. I mean, so really, it's just like, and I've even leveled up several alts. I have like 3 other characters at level 60. Now, I haven't done much with them, but it's like even that it's like I don't
even alts, man. My hunter's to 60 a few weeks ago, and the biggest struggle right now is I don't want to go run a dungeon, like a normal dungeon, but I kind of need to get enough gear to bump me up into like LFR or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm on this weird, like I can't even get into heroic right now. I think I can fully get into normal finally. So I'm like 150 something.
151 is heroic, I think.
Oh, maybe it is.
So we could probably craft.
I was at this hump I was trying to get over forever, and I was like waiting for rotations of world quests to come through to see if something would jump. And luckily, I got an epic off a world boss, and it kicked me up a notch.
Well, shit, this is a 207, yeah.
But it just sucks. It's like I don't.
Well, yeah, that's just it.
I'm
it's
like
just
stuck, and I really don't want to sit and run normal dungeons to get this. I would be running normal dungeons to sit and get the same cycle I would be as if I were in Mythic or Mythic Plus, looking for that incremental upgrade to get to the next spot, right? And that's just to hit this arbitrary point. To then jump in and then take off with LFR and Mythic Dungeons and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very awkward, and you don't do enough damage, and survivability isn't there at that point with gear, and it's challenging even to get rid of some mobs. So
yeah, well, not only
like
that, but with all the loot changes, like even in LFR, there's not going to be that many pieces dropping. It's like. I don't know what the cutoff is, but raids are dropping 2 pieces of gear. I don't know what they drop in LFR. Maybe it's 3 because there's more players. But that loot change also applies to time walking raids. So time walking raids only drop 2 pieces of gear. So back when the first one came out, it was before they had fixed that. So people were able to go into like Ulduar and get a bunch of stuff at like 200 or whatever the item level it was dropping. But the loot changes went back to applied to those instances as well, because it's comparable gear. But it's like, I don't know, I read something somewhere that they're hearing people's complaints about the looting system and that they're looking into it. I think Ian Hazacasta said something about that.
I mean, they've done this before. I don't understand why they had to go back. Like, they've gone down this road before with trying to make loot more scarce and make it mean more, and they had the same exact thing. There was backlash.
So wasn't it a lot of it had to do with the World Quest loot that was in BFA? Isn't that a lot of the reason they were dialing back a little bit?
Sure, but get rid of the world quest loot then, or you know what I mean? Don't make it as plentiful. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, don't
I agree. Absolutely agree.
Don't that is an easy way to get gear, right? But
if you've got your thing high enough to get gear that's worth getting.
Yeah. Raids are much harder. You have to have enough people to go into the raid. The gear should be better from a raid. It should be better. Hands down. Going into a raid, it should be better than Mythic Plus. It should be better. It should be better. It's a raid. And
I kind of agree. And unfortunately, like, I still would argue that like last week when we talked about, I think it was last week when we talked about even like introducing hard modes and stuff like that back into the game somehow. Like, if you just add that little mechanism that allows you to trip over to that next item level point, right? Then you could end a lot of that silliness, right? Because if you put in that much more effort into the fight, you get that reward, just as if you put that much more effort into Mystic Plus, you get that reward. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I do see something wrong with the amount of time that you spend and the amount of coordination you have to do in a raid versus the reward you get from it, right? Because even now, like, I went and did LFR to get my best legendary memory. In I don't know. It's
I get it, but I mean, when you have, if you say, well, the best loot only comes out of raids, then again, you're requiring people to raid that only want to do Mythic Plus to get gear so they can push keys. You know, it's like when you have multiple avenues of endgame.
You're talking about
stuff.
A drastic difference in item level when it comes to Mythic. So Mythic 5 will get you what? 210? Like almost heroic raid gear?
Yeah.
Like that. I mean,
is it a 5 or 7? 7, I think, gives you 210.
Those are 213s.
7s are 213? Oh, they are. You're right.
I'll say, because 5 used to be like 190 or 190 something, because I have the old version, and in another piece I have the new version, which is 210.
Yeah.
Unless something. Well, no, the piece you get from the dungeon is a different level versus the piece you get from the Great Vault.
Even if it's a 5?
So
they're both 5s. I know that.
Sure, you get the piece you get in the dungeon is a lower level than the piece that it earns you in your reward in your chest.
So it's specifying the Mythic Plus level on the item doesn't even matter 2 things at all.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's a hard balancing act to do, and you know, it's never going to be perfect. And the only thing they can do is they can make changes that they think are going to be good for the game. And when some things you can't just, because sure, you could put that into beta testing. You could run through it through a couple months, but you're really not going to get an overall effect.
It'll never be the same.
Well, that doesn't really correlate the overall impact to the entire community and the overall feel for everybody, because not everybody's going to be sitting there doing everything. And so it's a very narrow cross section of the player population, and it's not everything. So they think that, okay, this seems to be working for our intended goal, which they decide they wanted to do, and it gets into live. Oh, there's a bug. Let's go ahead and dial that back a little bit, fix that. So now the loot drops are where they should be for the appropriate amount of people. And then after a while, people are like, man, this sucks, we don't like this. And I don't know, you'd really have to take a poll of the entire community to really see what people thought about it. Because sure, you get a couple hundred people complaining on Twitter or on the forums and all that stuff, but 100 people from a game that probably has several million subscribers is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So, you can't always look at the vocal group of people clamoring for change.
The vocal minority.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, okay. I can't say that people of that opinion are a minority,
right?
But you know what I mean.
Right, but it's a common thing typically with online. Yeah,
right, and it's just like those people can't control or can't be the catalyst for every change in the game. Somebody can't go out there and just shout their heads off that, my God, Sylvanas shouldn't be wearing all that armor. She should, you know what I mean? And she should be wearing a skimpy chainmail bikini, and get their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then her dick might flop out.
But I mean, but that. So I mean, that's kind of
it's
hard.
I don't think that we know most likely that's not the way they work, right? They probably take in consideration loud voices and probably do some sort of usability testing at some way somehow to either validate that, or they have enough correlating data that they pull even in their. Man, do you remember watching one of their videos from like?
They were watching like raids or dungeons monitoring? Yeah.
Well, even beyond that, they have like their big operating center for just World of Warcraft itself, including Battle.net services, but for World of Warcraft specifically. And I mean, they could see like a lot of that real time data. So I would think that they probably have enough correlating data to help make those decisions. And what's going on right now kind of proves that those loud people on the internet, they're not winning an argument. I will say the one thing I have read over and over and over and over and over people crying about is Torghast is really fun, but
there's no benefit to going in other than your soul ash. It's the same thing we've talked about. There's no impetus to do it.
And then there's also that, like, I go in it, something messes up out of my hands, I lose bet progress. Like, that's more of a twisting corridors thing. I don't think that.
Oh, like when you said you lost power and you got kicked out, right? And you had to try to get in, something like that. Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Or because I've had to step away and I went AFK on my character, so it logged out. And kicked me out before as well. So, and I didn't realize that it did that. Like, I don't expect it to keep that forever, but I don't see the difference in just picking up where I left off. As long as I can't jump out and jump back in, to change something and go back in. Like, why can't I log directly back into that point? Or even the beginning of a floor. I don't want to jump topics by any means. I just want to say that I've actually seen that in my opinion, it's fairly valid overall, because Torghast is fun, but damn, we need more. We need a little bit more out of that thing. So.
Yeah, I don't know about being able to leave and go back in and pick up where you are, because that kind of.
No, not leave. Like, if something happens,
DC.
Like if I got to log out and do, like, something just happens, like, a lot of the reasons why stuff like LFR exists is the fact that a lot of dirty casuals just can't, like me,
don't have time.
sometimes can't like dedicate that much time.
Yeah.
That many
Yeah.
times a week.
I mean,
and
I get it.
and I don't think they should just make one feature, distinctly for people that have the time to dump in the game. And maybe that was the reason they didn't put as many rewards into it.
Honestly,
I don't know.
If they wanted to do that, what they should do is they should start everybody off with a base set of gear. Right? And this would allow for that, because leaving or logging off and coming back in or whatever allows you, because it would kick you out of the instance, and if you were to pick it back up from where you left off, there might be ways to like fudge things a little bit. But if there was a way to enter Borghast, and then it gives you a base set of equipment, and you set your talents, and you have your it gives you like enchants that you can use and all that kind of stuff, an initial thing or an initial, and then an initial pool of money, right, which you can use, or of currency at the start, and then you can kit yourself out either with gear upgrades, enchants, potions or something like that, and you build a starter kit, kind of like making a new character in D&D, right? Each time you go in, and then you go out there, and then you get powers, and you get things to upgrade the gear and all this stuff, and then it allows you to snapshot it and save your progress at a certain point if you have to leave, right? Because that eliminates the ability for somebody to go out and fudge things and then come back in with things slightly changed.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I said that, I mean, that was the intention, that like that's really only if you get disconnected or go AFK or...
I know, but it just led me to this whole concept of just having
that sounds great too.
like having like a paper doll character. You go in, you kit your character out, and it's like,
we could call it Borghast rated mode, because I think that sounds good. I mean,
what is it?
Leaderboards and shit, right? When we were talking about before, that sounds like a great idea, in my opinion.
Was it Raid Shadowlands? Like that
Oh,
stupid,
God.
like that, like that mobile
Is that what
game.
the game is actually called?
No, it's Raid Shadow Legends, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is.
It was, but imagine if you had a system like that, and okay, your racial abilities are fine, so like that stuff's kind of irrelevant because that never changes, and you can set your talents on stuff, but you could like snapshot it, so you could get so far, and if you had to leave or if something happened, like if you hit a checkpoint, you initiate a save, right? And that's it. If you don't reach the checkpoint and something happens, like you would have like an auto checkpoint at the floor beginning, right? And so you could go back in and you would say, resume from this floor or last checkpoint kind of thing. And you could do that, or you could start a new run. So, and that's kind of the same way it is now, right? If something happens, you start a new run, But if you had that ability, I mean, that's a pretty hefty system, but that would be fun. Like you go in and,
yeah, I agree.
And, it's, I mean, it would be a min-maxer's wet dream because, well, think about it, right? You have all these things, and maybe each time you go in, the shop's a little bit different upgrades, different enchants that are different from the normal outside of there, like regular game enchants, like, nothing like normal stuff, just like weird stuff only in Borghast, right? Like you could have an enchant for your weapon that, when you hit a maw rat, it slows its speed by 50%. So when it runs away slower kind of thing. Just something like that. Or, just weird things like that are similar to powers, but not. And then same thing, like you could upgrade your pieces, like you would start with all whites, right? Or, yeah, and like you could get things to bump them up to greens, purples, that kind of thing. And some of that stuff would be rare. And like as you go up, and this would maybe be something more for like Twisting Corridors, right? If Twisting Corridors was like that, where as you go up, you have several ways to improve your character, not just getting powers, but getting powers and gear upgrades. You know, it's like entering Borghast strips you of everything and you have to re-outfit yourself kind of thing.
Okay.
That, you know, that would be fun.
That would be neat.
I like that idea.
I'm going to write that up and I'm going to submit it and say, make me a game dev.
I mean, I'm sure they're listening, so.
Yeah.
Hey, Ian, you can have that idea free of charge. 1% profit. Or 1% cut. Yeah.
1%. Oh my God.
So since we're talking about Borghast, I think you've completed your Twisting Corridors runs, finally.
Oh, did you? Did you
I
get them
did.
all done? Woo!
Got them all done.
And you were on, was it
All soloed.
floor 13 of layer 8 when you got DC'd? Your power went out?
My power blipped and my PC shut off, and then my PC did not want to turn back on. I had to drain the power and
hold the
flip
power
it back
button
on.
in. Yeah. You need, my friend, to go out and get a UPS.
I know.
Yeah.
As soon as it happened, I'm like, oh, you gotta be shitting me.
Did you get back into the same run?
I did.
Oh, good.
It was roughly like 5 minutes, and
Well, I'm glad because I could imagine you would have broken peripherals.
Yeah.
it was the worst part about it was that it was by far the best setup I've had at all.
Yeah.
I was mulching final bosses on each floor in 3 hits,
Yep.
and it was perfect.
Yeah.
I had the perfect scaling. I stayed ahead of it, and I'll be honest with you, I took that gain 15%, lose 5% health.
What floor, though, did you take it on? Because that's crucial.
Like 10.
Okay,
Around-
yeah.
Okay, I took it on floor 2. That was
Yeah,
bad. Or
floor
floor 4.
2.
No, floor 4 was bad.
Yeah,
I
not a
was
great
still
one.
I was still reconsidering, but I'm like, okay, if I take this, I don't have to take anything else.
Yeah.
I have my execute, and my crit was already at almost 50%.
Yeah.
And at that point, my crit damage was already over enough.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna take it and just take every single health bonus I get, and sure as shit, that worked out
Yep.
great.
Yep, that's what we did. That was what we did.
Well, not that exactly, but
I
Well-
can't. It's crazy because it was so easy.
Yeah.
if you get the right powers,
Yeah.
that is nothing.
But
As long as you have the powers that mitigate stuff on the floors.
I've never gotten that option before.
What do you mean?
I've never gotten that option for that anima power.
Which one? The one?
That 15% lose 5%.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. I saw another run we were doing, and it was floor 2, and somebody gave me the death glare and said, "Don't you dare fucking take it."
Yeah.
I probably would have ended up with like 6k health if we had made it to.
Well, that's at that point I'm like, okay, well I got a 45% health buff, so I'm like, okay, well that covers me for 9 fucking floors in comparison. So
Right.
I'm like, oh, if I take one of those, I'm fine. Otherwise, every time I take one of the white upgrades of 15%,
Yeah.
that's 3 floors. So
Yeah,
I should be good to go. And I was already high enough. I had already like almost doubled my hit points at that point, so it wasn't like it was drastic.
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't
it
get
wasn't like
any
I
health
was-
upgrades when I took that. That was
Yes.
shit.
That was
Yeah, you just
terrible.
got shafted.
I
No, it was amazing. It was amazing, and honestly, like I'm glad it worked out that way because it just
You
at
didn't
that
want to
point
do it
I was
again.
taking like 2-day breaks
Yeah.
in between floors because or layers rather, just because I couldn't. It's just so. Oh man, and I finished that run in like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
if you
that
get the
was
right powers,
incredible.
you can just. It's not as long, and it's just otherwise you have to be careful with your poles
Yeah.
and all that stuff. I mean, it's
But having that mom out, ooh,
Is nice.
oh
Yeah.
it's so
Nice on alts too.
Oh yes, it is. Oh, my
Yep.
goodness.
Yep.
So, I guess last week we had the first Borghast event, which
Ugh.
was called Beast of Perdition,
It was
Or something of
It
that?
was terrible.
Beast, yeah, something like that.
something like the Beast of some P word that, yeah.
It was
no.
terrible.
But, and I don't know, it just didn't really feel that worth
It
anything.
wasn't. Yeah, it was really nothing
It's
fancy.
like-
about it.
At the beginning, you get the option to take one of 3 pets. You get 2 choices, which are one of 3 pets. And I think it's probably based on your class or your spec that maybe potentially does it. I don't know. I thought they said there was a healing one, but I don't think we ever saw it.
I didn't see. No, I thought it was a tank. I didn't think there was a healing one.
We had a tank one, a buff one, and then some. There was
an interrupt one.
No.
Or is the tank one the interrupt one?
I don't know.
There were 3, but I don't think one of them was a healer. A healing one.
I don't know. But we didn't. You get them, and then like the powers they get are kind of like, eh. You know, it's like I'd rather have the powers that I have.
Yeah.
And it puts me in more control.
Yep.
As opposed to.
Yeah, because you couldn't dictate where they went, and so if you went to pull something and then you wanted to pull something back, you couldn't do that because the dog stayed wherever it wanted to be. It was very frustrating. I took it once and then I was like, yeah, no. Dog is dumb.
It was weird. It was almost like, I hate to keep saying it, like a last minute feature thing. I really hate to say that, but it's another one of those things that like, okay, it adds a little flavor to it.
And there's
it's
two
probably
other
just meant to
ones.
mix it up a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, there's
and
and like every other week there's going to be one of those events, I think now, and there's 2 different ones that we haven't seen yet, and I forget what they're called. They are weekly events, and they do show up on the in-game calendar, so you can see when they start. I don't know if it really gives you any information on them. I don't really remember what the other ones were because it really wasn't interesting enough for me to
go look.
To even I read it, I just don't remember it. And it's just like I don't do Borghast anymore except to go in, burn through it, and get my soul ash.
Yeah.
Or to help somebody run through on a different character kind of thing. And it's just like there's nothing in Borghast that I need anymore. I don't get any more memories. I don't get.
But there's the if you have to switch legendaries to get your best in slot built, now you got to go back and rerun all that shit again.
I mean, I've built 1 legendary and it's at rank 4. I haven't built anything else.
Yeah, I don't need one.
Well, I'm saying I just started mine and I have about 1100 soul ash, and you got to have 5100 to craft a 235 right off the bat. So
I don't know how much I have, but isn't the max 8,000?
I don't know.
Because then if it is, I'm gonna have to start burning it soon.
Just make a bunch of legendaries.
Yeah,
I would just max it out and be done. I mean, there's really no way to burn it other than crafting legendaries. So.
Well, yeah, that's what I'll end up doing is just start crafting the ones for the powers I have so that I have them at least at rank 1.
Yeah, that's
so I mean,
that's what I've been doing. Like I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legendaries now. 1 at rank 4 for my main spec for balance, and then I have my Guardian, the Barkskin one, because that's effing amazing for just being out in the world. I just pull tons of mobs, and then just because I'm in Guardian spec, and then just bear them down, and when if I start taking damage, then I hit Barkskin, and it automatically gives me a frenzied regen and an iron for stack when it starts, and then when it finishes it does it again. And
so it's
my
stupid.
Barkskin is on like a 35-second cooldown because I have the conduit for that. So it's ridiculous. Like it's great.
Well, that's what the one I'm wearing right now. It's like my second best in slot. So I'm gonna sit and wear it until I have enough soul ash to make the best in slot one, and then be done. I don't even think I've gotten soul ash for the last two weeks, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. I don't know. As soon as I crafted my 235, I stopped because I knew it was gonna be a while until we got some generals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To them to get the one I needed. So, but luckily LFR drops it, so I got it there instead.
I think if you farm enough renown, is it renown or Stygia? Renown, you can buy something from your Covenant Hall that gives you a random memory.
I don't know if Night Fae has that.
I'm pretty sure they all have that.
I mean, I thought they did too, but I never saw it on any of the quartermasters that were there. So
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Isn't that a later on in Renown though? Like close to the end?
I thought
Yes.
it was. Oh, so.
yes.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, I don't know.
It sounds familiar, and I'm trying to think of where I saw it at, but I want to say it was on that Renown list going all the way to the end. I think it was one of those things.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
either way, like yeah. So I don't know. So like at this point, for me, Torghast is just kind of I'm gonna sit and get the Soul Ash every week, and then as soon as I craft that guy, I'll be done until whatever's next.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what is going to happen next, because we're kind of in a dead space right now. It feels like the end of an expansion almost.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still got a shit ton of stuff to do. I still have to go do all my fucking weekly Stitch Yard quests. I unlocked the next level, so I got a whole bunch more quests to do. But it's just like, whatever. It's
There's
just
a bit of a lull, and it's interesting because it feels like it took forever because we're 2 months in now.
Is that it?
Wow.
But even still, though, there was a lot to do to keep us busy for 2
There
months.
was. Yeah.
No, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the hell comes next, because we kind of already know the ending of Castle Nathria, despite the fact that we're not there yet. We already kind of know the end of that, and we know the end of all the campaign quests. So, and we know what's going on
theoretically, because I don't know
Right,
the end of all of them.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, let me talk about that then. Holy cow! Oh, I did. It's Kyrian, right, or Ascended,
Yeah.
or whatever they're called.
Kyrian.
Yeah. So I did that on my hunter, and then I found out how Spires of Ascension becomes a thing, and what happened between the quest where you saw Uther as what are they called? The Dark Ones.
The
What are they
Forsworn.
called? Yes. The quest where you see him in Bastion, and then he's not there until
There's the
you
one.
see him in the campaign quests, and you have to fight him. And then he pussies out and flies away to I don't know where. So
That's it. Like you fight him and he goes away.
you get him halfway down because they're like invading whatever that Syrian hold or whatever it's called. And then,
Elysian Hold, yeah.
yeah, so he gets about halfway down, and then he's, fuck this, I'm out. Devos will take care of this shit. And he flies off with his posse, and that's it.
What a goddamn pussy. So much for being the fucking Lightbringer.
It's very interesting. There's going to be a redemption thing. We got to go. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm bleeding all over the place, but I've been holding this in.
No, that's fine. Go for it. Let loose.
So I think my point about that was more so like, had I not done that campaign quest, I would have never freaking known about it. And don't get me wrong, from a lore perspective, I don't think I should have to run several different characters to learn about these things. I really don't think that should be the case. Like, I really think they should take some sort of approach where lore is properly documented for everybody to see somehow.
Yeah,
we've talked about this before, so I won't beat the shit out of it again, but some way, you know what I mean? So because I didn't know that. I didn't know that he appeared in the campaign quest. I thought he was just kind of, in the back, and in Spires of Ascension felt kind of odd because I didn't really understand how, Devos jumped from meh to a boss of a dungeon. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, if they had some sort of way where they had somebody, like, once you complete your Covenant's campaign or up to a certain level, a way to allow you to look at the other ones, at least, even if it was just talking to somebody, and as you unlock your campaign, they would have like maybe a Kyrian ambassador and a Revendreth ambassador and a Night Fae ambassador be in, Maldraxxus, right? And you could talk to them, and they could either show you highlights.
This is what's going on today in Kyrian news.
Right, just like an
asshole.
like an update. It's like, oh, while you guys were dealing with this is what we were dealing with, and just even if it was just a brief blurb, I can't imagine that they would do the cinematics because a lot of that has your character in it, But even if there was just a way to like you said, to just give us, get like a newsy thing going on, somebody on the corner hawking papers for a nickel.
Town cry.
Yeah.
No, I think it's I don't know. It irritated me, and now I feel like I'm obligated to go level 2 additional characters to play the other covenants. So
maybe that's intentional.
It's kind of annoying. I don't know. It is what it is, but no, I think there's either a redemption story, which is probably like 75% for sure what's going to happen with Uther. They're not going to turn him into this baddie that you got to defeat.
Do you know who the jailer is?
Huh?
Do you know who the jailer is?
What?
We'll save that for later. Keep going. Sorry.
No, you won't. No, you'll do it now.
It's Tyrion.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm just making that up.
Oh my God! What? Oh God! Why would you do that?
Your head almost exploded.
Yeah, you're an asshole. My gosh.
Well, you were talking redemption. It's like, yeah, maybe Uther's not the big bad. Maybe it's Tyrion Fordring. I'm sorry.
Oh man, I could bleed into everything. I hope it has something to do with Varian Rin.
You think Varian is related to something?
They're so obsessed with that fucking sword and recrafting it into a rune blade.
Wait, are you talking about shit from the fucking leaked cinematic that I haven't watched? Because who the hell's talked about that? You're talking about Anduin's sword? You son of a bitch. You motherfucker.
Okay, it was leaked like 2 weeks ago.
And I hadn't...
I'm just kidding. It never happened. Remember, Tyrion? Joke's on you.
You're a liar.
Stop talking about it because I wasn't listening, so.
That's great.
Listening to what?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear.
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's kind of hard to get a full picture of what's going on with the other lore stuff. But I don't know. It is what it is. It's a design choice they made for their storytelling. And whether or not it's a means for them to enforce, replaying or playing in the game longer, leveling characters up through the other stuff because you want to know.
Keep you paying subscription.
Well, I mean, you could do it all in a month.
It's working.
I guess. I don't ever cancel my subscription because you got to get them fat, outfits for 6 months of subs, right? You got to look like the Fey Dragon. Whatever the hell that is. But, I don't know. What else you got?
I got a little bit of conspiracy corner.
All right. What you got? Don't wink at me.
So everything really feels like it's kind of wrapped up to be ready to move to the next step. And with that becomes the next big patch, which would be
9.1.
9.1. Yeah. So, and obviously it's not going to be, if you look at previous expansions, what was 8.1?
How long after launch? Is that what you're asking? Because I don't know.
8.1 was raid. It was the raid on the seal, right?
Battle for Desire Lore.
Yeah.
Was it?
So that was it. Yeah.
Because the first one was the one with the low
old something, whatever.
Uldir.
Yep.
Right. There wasn't one after that? No, because it was Battle for Dazar'alor, and then it was the 2-boss raid that sucked. Shrine of Storms, or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, that was kind of a side piece, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of like the Helheim one. The Helya raid. Trial of Valor. Yeah. And then it was Nashatar, Eternal Palace, and then it was Nyalotha. I don't know how long their raid tiers usually last, because you still have to give people time to get the.
Oh, I'm not saying it's coming out soon. I'm just saying, like, from the content's life cycle. If you look at that, we kind of churned through a lot of it. So, at this point, so 8.1 came out in January, late January, when the expansion released in August. So if you take that timeline, make a few assumptions, right? You're looking at least another 3 months, right? And I think that the Ian meeting that they had the most recently report was sometime in the spring when the next content patch drops. So, but as far as what that's gonna be, it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah,
like, the events in BFA built up to that, right? Even the events in Legion, oh my god, the Nighthold, right? That was Nighthold,
because it was all the Suramar line led up to
it.
That.
It built up to it, right? So really, like, at this point, we've kind of solved the problems on each individual Covenant Island, and what's left is the Maw, right? And we know the big baddies and the Maw somewhere, or in his tower in the Maw. And then the only thing left in the outside is the fact that the Arbiter is still disabled.
Right.
So, and additionally, there's a connection between the brokers, the Maw, and then back to Oribos, right? I could see something there with their connection to different worlds and stuff like that. There being some kind of content there that we had, to find the problem, right? Because we already know that venereal disease inside the Maw is bad, is a bad broker.
You think Venari's a bad broker?
I don't know. I wish I knew. Sometimes I don't know.
Now, the question is,
it's just like Uther. It's just like Uther. When you think about Uther, you're like, oh my god, yeah, no, there's no way he's going to be bad forever. But that was my conspiracy earlier. Was that, well, what happens when he's actually right? What happens when he's actually right? And it turns out everything that we've been working with and for with Shadowlands is actually the bad part. You know what I mean? And our world is kind of flipped upside down. Like,
well, I do know that in, I guess, one of the interviews, and this could be related to the same when you're talking about that, they were hinting at delving deeper into like the Shadowland stuff. So whether that is going further into the lore behind it, or if it's just opening up new areas that are, previous covenants that have all been subjugated by the jailer.
That would be great. I'd love it, because if that tells us for sure that there are more, then that's awesome. I love it.
We know there's more.
I think it would be shitty just because they haven't evidence-wise led into enough of it. It would just be like, oh, and here's a little something, by the way, to get you to the next. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I would assume that there would be some sort of.
By the way, the jailer has affected this one too, and they got a drought too, and their colors, yellow.
Well, I don't think it would be like that. I think what it would end up being is dead ones, or on the brink of death, because they're not
kind of like we were discussing with the mall being potentially.
well, kind of
one
like we went
that
to
was-
Argus, right? In Argus, there was no saving. There's no saving Argus. Argus is a dead world, right? So it wouldn't be like we go to another Covenant land and save it because it's beyond saving kind of thing, or it's been completely occupied by the jailer and his forces, or maybe Venari finally reveals her secret and gives us ammunition that we need to oust the brokers as from Oribos, and now there's a purge of Oribos where we fight and kick out the brokers that are there, which I don't see happening because they are the trainers and stuff like that for the skill or crafting and all that stuff. So, but I mean,
Well,
something
how like they like to make persistence chronological, right? Oh, when you go to the old world, you're in the old world. You're not in the modern old world. You're in the old world timeline. So they would, in a heartbeat, they would phase it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they could do it because it's a capital city. They did that shit in Orgrimmar.
Yeah,
when they
also
changed-
like to mix it up too much too.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. I understand what you mean though. Yeah.
Yes, so that would be interesting. I don't know. Venari is either going to reveal something or it'll start with the rune carver, I think.
Do we all still agree the rune carver is the Primus?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It seems very likely, but I am reserving judgment until they reveal who he is.
Well, I still think it's way too obvious, but I don't know.
I mean, sometimes
If
obvious.
you didn't do Maldraxxus, then you wouldn't know. So
Well, you do enough of it to see the statue, like in the beginning, or like the image of him when you first find the rune blade. I mean, there's like that projection of him.
oh yeah, you do go back and forth to that fucking place, don't you? No, that's incorrect. I sit corrected again,
Yeah,
over and over and.
that's okay. we all tend to make mistakes on this podcast.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Jim
Oh,
more
yeah.
than others.
Oh, I'm
That's
supposed
right.
to remind her to correct herself from something she said last week, which is something we never do. We never admit to our mistakes, but she wants to.
Who
I
gives
don't
a shit?
remember. I don't remember what it was. but-
Okay, well then we're gonna move on.
It don't matter.
But I did say something incorrect, and I was like, "Oh
we
no,
say a lot of
that was
things incorrectly
wrong."
because we half remember them
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So our
Not
listeners
scripted and
Our
we're
listeners are
bullshit.
just going to have to forgive us because otherwise, if we just sat here and fact checked everything, we would just basically be reading off of, Wowhead or Wowpedia or anything like that instead of coming up with our own, cockamamie schemes and storylines and lore that is probably like changed 6 times since I read it, kind of thing. So there's all this like odd memories like pieced together over the last 16 years of this game.
So
Yeah.
I am interested. It may not be super conspiracy corner, but I am interested what you guys think next patch might be. I know you talked about it a little bit, Jim, but I'm interested to hear what Kristen thinks as
what
well.
what we think it might be.
Like the content of it might be.
Jesus, I don't know. I mean,
That's the whole point, though. That's the whole point. That, I think where we started the whole podcast with, right? We're at a point where everything has ground to a halt, and there really doesn't seem to be any path forward that's obvious, right?
I feel like I think Anduin's going to be a boss.
Oh, I hope so. I hope we get to slap
Yeah.
that kid right in the face.
I think Anduin's
You
going
know
to be a
that's not
boss.
gonna happen, though.
I think he's
Why
going to be a
not?
raid boss. I think that it's the Alliance's turn to get one, and maybe Sylvanas will sway him. Maybe momentarily, but she'll sway him, and he'll be a raid boss. I would hope he would be a final boss because I would
Damn,
hope
y'all
that.
need to watch that last cinematic.
I don't
This
want
would be
to,
a lot. This would be a lot easier.
but
I don't
mean,
want to
okay.
watch it.
I mean,
until
we don't even know where it's at yet. So
where the
Wow.
raid is going to be.
No, the cinematic where it fits into the story.
Oh, yeah.
The
Well,
leaked-
I mean,
the
that's
leaked
why I
one, or
don't
the
want
data
to.
mined one or whatever.
That's why I don't really want to watch it.
I
I
don't
want to
either.
watch it in the in the
Yeah,
story.
you do.
We
You
said
do.
I know we said that before. But no, I mean I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, the only other faction leader that was a raid boss was what? Garrosh in Mists, right? Siege of Orgrimmar. He's the only one that was actually. I mean, I guess you had what's his nuts? Nazgrim. He wasn't a leader, but he was a prominent figure. But we haven't really had any alliance figures that were prominent raid bosses in any sense, right? From the beginning of the game.
No, not really. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess she does have a point. It is time for an alliance raid boss.
Mm.
Well, I mean, but the fact is, the story behind a lot of like even Garrosh and stuff like that is that they're just more susceptible to those things.
Well-
and even like if you go back farther, you know, in the story, Medivh was big powerful dude, and he was turned into evil. And if it were soon enough, we would have, you know, fought him directly. So.
But I mean, what she's saying is maybe not that he's been turned and he's willingly doing this. Maybe they're just using him as a vessel. Maybe they body swap him with the jailer. Now he's got a hole in his chest, and Zorval's in Anduin's body, and it's imbued with the powers of an eternal one.
I feel like somebody's been watching too much anime.
Yeah, it's like Captain Ginyu with his body swap.
Oh no! No, I'll take the Ginyu Force. If they put the Ginyu Force in the game, I'll take that. But otherwise, no. No silly, funky stuff. It better make sense, and it better be damn good.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm totally down with raiding Torghast.
It probably
Not gonna lie.
will. That place is huge.
That place is
God,
fucking
could you
amazing.
imagine if
it is the Ice Crown Citadel on steroids.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the raid changed every time you went into it?
That'd be pretty badass. Well, let's be honest. This doesn't change every time you go. Okay, so the doors open and close.
Well, the
Big
floor
whoop-de-fuck-
floor could be
big
different too,
whoop-de-fucking
and you get different bosses.
Big whoop. Okay, they. I'm sorry. This is very negative, but it is not as cool as they were making. This shit they were making 20. Shit, man. Yeah, 20 over 20 years ago in Diablo. They were randomly placing mobs all over the place and then dropping the butcher's room, you know, somewhere on the floor, all this stuff, right? This is nothing new. This is not. It's
No,
not
you're
as
right.
technologically advanced as they want to make it seem like. And when you actually figure out that the doors are actually just closing when you get in to form a route, and then you realize you can't get to vases that have anima powers in them, you're like,
How do you know that they're there?
because
Oh,
I can see them.
because you take. I never take the power that lets you see that stuff.
No. I'm talking about wide open. There's one where you go upstairs, okay, and then there's a center room, and there's balconies.
Oh
on each-
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can jump over, sometimes you can't. And usually the ones that you can't, there is anima power on the other side that you can't reach.
Put it in as a bug.
That's not a bug though.
Sure,
That's
it
the
is.
random. Nope,
Putting-
that's the
putting-
random generation. The random generation is all those doors. If you get in quick enough, you will see them close.
Okay.
Hmm.
So that's the random. That's a lot of times when you see mobs behind a door, and then if you pay attention, there's no access to that spot
Yeah.
where those mobs
I've seen.
are.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why that's happening. So
Okay.
that's that random generation that they're doing. But don't get me wrong, a raid on Torghast, even if they did it, don't do it like the Torghast is right now, but something like Torghast as a raid, I think it'd be pretty cool. So
Yeah.
and
What
I
if-
don't know, like if we were to come, if we go take the fight to this guy,
What if we find out that he's not the big bad? What if there's somebody behind him
what happens when you find out that
who jails
he's
the jailer?
actually not bad at all, and the arbiter is bad?
The sorting hat can't be bad.
Huh?
The sorting
Oh.
hat can't be bad.
You You don't know
Back to Anduin. What if they don't turn him into a boss, but what if like they chain him inside some sort of construct and he's a power source? Like he's like the heart of it. Kind of like the in Ulduar, the junkyard boss. Has got the core. What if he's like the core of some sort of thing that's a construct and he's chained and he's being drained of his powers?
I mean, will they do like? Don't they refer to him as? Or maybe they're not referring to him. I don't know. Sorry, I don't remember how much is actually that new one and not that new one. But I'm pretty sure, like a few cinematics ago, they referred to him or something
as a weapon,
a tool.
Yeah,
a weapon. Yeah,
Anduin's a tool.
Yeah,
he is a tool. But
I mean, I don't know.
The only thing I can think of there is that his power with light. Is there something there that they're trying to use and abuse?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and find out. Okay, well, thanks everyone for listening. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. It's been a rough ride. We've talked about the funk, the lack of content after like the story has ended, and kind of like what's still going on. Talked some more about Borghast and some thoughts on that. I had a fantastic idea, and it's already been trademarked and sent to the copyright office, so you guys can all go to hell. You
have our email.
Oh my God.
Talked about just the lore sectioning, I guess, or it being contained in the Covenant. So some of the stuff is, if you don't play it, you don't know it. And it's a little bit of speculations about what's going to happen in the next patch and when it might come out. So thanks everyone for listening again. You can contact us at our Facebook page. It's Facebook/server restart in, or shoot us a tweet at server_restart. And catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.